What's up, boss gang? It's your girl, Tanisha Bynum, and this is Queen Talk, the podcast. You guys already know what time it is. We're about to talk about it, you guys. I'm so excited today. Today starts the episode 1 of my new season, season 6. And you guys, this episode is kind of like, it's kind of like a big deal to me. So the name of this episode, well, this season is The Journey to Black Excellence. So, in these times, it's a big deal. So for me personally, and one of my friends just reminded me of this. It's so crazy. But growing up in school, a lot of the people didn't like me. They would always be like, "Why are you talk white? Why are you trying to act like white people?" And I used to just be like, "Why do people think that only white people want to carry themselves with class, with decency? They want to achieve goals. They want to create generational wealth. They want to have things." It's crazy to me. So this season is all about highlighting people who are living in their Black excellence, their journeys to get there, the things they've accomplished, and etc. So today, episode 1 is about outliving the stereotype, and I have the fly lawyer here, you guys. This is Mr.JP, the fly lawyer Patterson. I will allow him to introduce himself and tell you guys about him and some of his accomplishments before I get started with all these questions. Go ahead, Mr. JP.
Yes, as you know, I'm the fly lawyer, and there's only one fly lawyer in the entire world, and you're looking at him. And the reason why I'm the fly lawyer is for a number of reasons. One is my educational level that's unmatched in my experience, as well as I'm the flyest lawyer in America. So my legal name is actually the fly lawyer. My middle name is the fly lawyer. So when I go to court, the judges will say the defendant is represented by the fly lawyer. And then it gives me a leg up because the jurors will say, well, he is fly, so I've already got a leg up.
Okay, now that makes sense. So you actually legalized the fly lawyer as your actual name?
It is. Not only that, my name is trademarked in Washington, D.C., in the U.S. Office of Patent and Trademark. So no one in the United States of America can call themselves the fly lawyer legally without being sued.
If standing on business was a person, Mr. Patterson.
Yes.
I love that. I love that because we live in a world where people run off with things, and is definitely giving the fly lawyer. So I can see why you would want to brand that. It's very suiting. Okay, so you said when you're in court, why? Tell us about what are you in court for these days? Like, what do you do in court these days?
Yes, I've been a criminal lawyer now for 32 years. I handle things from speeding to kidnapping to murder to armed robbery. No matter what you get arrested for, those are the type cases that I handle. Also, while being a lawyer, I've also held several other public positions. I am the only lawyer, excuse me, Georgia has been around and settled since 1733. That is a very long time. I am the only lawyer in the history of Georgia, the only one that's ever been a police officer, a police chief, a municipal court judge, a state court judge, a superior court judge, and prosecutor. There's never been one before me, and I don't think there'll ever be one after me.
I don't think it will either. I'm just still trying to think, how did you accomplish all of that in one lifetime? You have 5 people career bundled in one.
That
So
is, after high school, I joined the military. I was an U.S. Army paratrooper. I jumped out of airplanes from 17 to 20 years old. And then I joined the Atlanta Police Department when I was 20. And I was on the police department till I was 27. And while patrolling the streets at night, keeping people safe, I was in college during the day. So I got my undergrad while I was on the police department. My undergrad is a double major, criminal justice and public administration. And then once I got my master's degree, I was recruited by Grady Hospital here in Atlanta. It's kind of funny how that happened. I got a call from the director of security at Grady Hospital, which is the largest hospital in the Southeast. And they were looking for an assistant director of security. So when I went to interview, I told the chief, I said, wait a minute, why would I take this job when I'm a police officer? Why would I want to go back to being a security guard? I said, that's a downgrade. He said, well, let me tell you this. He said, how much do you make as a police officer? I said, well, I make $15,000. back in 1987.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I plan to offer you $40,000 a year. I went and resigned the very next week, and I became the assistant director of security. I had never heard of $40,000, believe me.
Because money talks.
Yeah, so I resigned a week later. I became the assistant director of security at Grady. And then while at Grady, I got my master's degree at that time. And once I got my master's degree, I applied to the Texas Southern University Thurgood Marshall School of Law and went to law school there. I was there from 1988 to 91. I passed the bar in 92, so I've been a lawyer now for 32 years. But while being a lawyer, all the positions I've had really came timing and just being blessed. So while I was defending a person down in Greenville, Georgia, I ran into the mayor of Greenville. Her name was Ruby Bird. She was the African-American mayor of Greenville, Georgia. And she said, I would like to fire my judge and hire you. I told her, I said, stop kidding me. She said, be in my office on a certain day. Lo and behold, I became a municipal court judge in 2000. And now keep in mind, that's a part-time position, so I was able to keep my law practice. So I never court judge. Georgia allows you to serve and fill in for any other type of judge. So then I started filling in as a state court judge in DeKalb County, and then a superior court judge in Terrell County, Georgia. And then eventually I got appointed special prosecutor in Fulton County. So that's why I say no one in the history of Georgia has ever held those positions.
No, I highly doubt that it's a lot of people in any other of the 50 states that have accomplished it either.
Let me tell you, I really agree with you, but I don't want to be so bold to say that's true. But I highly doubt if there's anyone in America that has held those positions.
Yeah, so we'll just leave it at highly doubt. But I can almost take that check to the bank. And those are some really, really major accomplishments. So out of being a police chief, a lawyer, and a judge, which one would you say was your favorite?
I would have to say being a judge.
Why?
Reason being because as a judge, you get to make sure that the prosecutor does not violate the rights of defendants. A judge is the most important person in the courtroom because they are a referee to make sure that the prosecutor with the heavy hand of the government does not run over you. Without a judge, the system wouldn't work. But keep in mind, if the judge is not fair, the system still is not going to work. So I took pride in being a fair judge to make sure that the defendant got a fair trial.
I can believe that. I can believe that you did it out of fairness. Okay, so my next question would be, what would you say was your reason to want to accomplish so much and establish so much? Like, what was your reason, your drive, your push? Like, what was your mindset when you were getting ready to go through these things? Like, what was your reasoning?
It's pretty simple. And I love my mother and father. They're deceased now, but I didn't want to have the same lifestyle that they have. I grew up in the projects in Northwest Atlanta, about a mile away from Morehouse College. And I stood in the welfare line. We had what you call these coupons, welfare coupons. But yet I didn't know that I was poor because we were happy.
Yeah.
But as I began to grow and look at things around me, because in Atlanta, I had never heard of Lenox Mall or Buckhead, because as an African-American in those days, you didn't go to those areas. So I didn't find out there was a Buckhead until I became a police officer and started patrolling those areas. And when I saw those houses, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know people live like this. And so I decided I did not want to live in a situation where I couldn't do all the things I wanted to do in life. So that's why I went in the Army first, and that got my start. And then joining the police department and seeing all these multi-million-dollar homes, I realized then that was a lot to life. So I set out on a journey to say, I want to make sure that no one can ever tell me I'm not qualified for anything. And I wanted to make sure no one could ever tell me that I can't purchase what I ever want to purchase in life.
Absolutely. Those are very good reasons. And I feel like those are a lot of people reasoning. For the most part, financial gain is my reasoning for a lot of things, except for when I think about the Haven, which is a charity that I'm going to open one day. That's merely principle and moral based. But I think financial situation, especially for people in our culture, I think that's really the main motive. And I don't really think that it's really all about the money. It's more about the lifestyle change that we can have that comes with the money. Because a
Absolutely.
lot of us, like you said, I grew up with my parents raised me, and my parents are also deceased now. But my mom was like a housewife, and my dad worked for 42 years, and I was like the only kid growing up. So, growing up, I really felt like, what? We had a great life.
Yeah.
But as I've grown up myself, and I'm noticing small things like, wow, I've never been on a plane, and wow, I look at the house that we grew up in now, and I'm like, wow, we're
Yeah.
small.
In
So
fact, in fact, when I was 16, my mother said, "We're now moving to a regular apartment." I was like, "What is a regular apartment?" I thought living in the project was a regular apartment. So
yeah,
because I didn't have any idea that we were living in the project because there was no drive-bys. You know, if someone got into a fight, they were friends 15 minutes later. So it was just a different environment.
true. I agree. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that's a question I wanted to ask too. So, because you said that you grew up in the projects, what was your experience with that? Because I do feel like a lot of people kind of over exaggerate the projects. Now, I'm not going to say that there are not some that are just terrible, terrible, terrible. But what was your experience growing up in your hometown, in your community, in your neighborhood?
Yes, let me tell you, it was a close-knit community. In fact, my mother's neighbors and our neighbors, they would spank me as if they were my mother, and we obeyed them. So yes, it was a true close-knit community. Although we didn't know the white side existed, we were happy. Everybody took care of each other. And as I said, if two guys got into a little scuffle, 15 minutes later, they were playing football together. So it was an environment that was truly family. And
Right.
the word projects, you think it has a negative connotation, but it was family. It was actually family.
Correct. I agree. I live in the South as well. I live over in Alabama. So the projects in our community, they're like an apartment complex. And, they're filled with elders and kids and people like that. And everybody's really a family. And I feel like that's something that I have a big problem with, that people paint a lot that the projects and not having a lot of money that you just grow up terribly. You don't really grow, in my opinion, you don't grow up terribly unless you're in a bad neighborhood. But sometimes not having a lot financially, you could very much grow up and be a good person.
Absolutely. Because your environment don't really determine what kind of person you will be.
Absolutely. And that's what I mean when I say outgrowing a stereotype. Because when you come from circumstances and situations like that, people automatically think the worst for you and assume that your life is going to be this and that. But like you said, you were 17 and you had already had your life mapped out. You started at 17. So like I think that's a big major thing. And what do you think about outliving the stereotype? How does that make you feel?
Well, I think the fact that I made it out, to me, I would prefer to see other people do more than me because see, I'm simply a link in that chain. I would love to see other individuals, and they are, who would do even bigger and greater things, state representative, mayors, congressperson. And so there are many, many African Americans in this country that started the same way I did and have done tremendous things. So it's really about the individual and his mind or his or her mind and mindset. That's what determines because your attitude determines your altitude.
Absolutely. And I always say the way that you network in your circle always equal your net worth eventually. So surrounding yourself with people who are going to where you want to go or where you want to be is really, really important also. So the next question that I want to ask is what made you start doing music? Is
You
that
know,
something that you do for fun or is that like a passion?
that is a great question. Let me tell you how that began. There's a rapper in Atlanta by the name of Stunner Stunner. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and when someone introduced him to me because his brother was in trouble with the law, and he had an attorney already, and the DA would not come down off 8 years in prison. So when I got hired and replaced that attorney, not only did I get his felonies completely dropped, but I got it reduced to misdemeanors and got him 90 days in the county jail. So that was a big success. Everybody was happy, but he was not going to prison for 8 years. So I teased Stunner. I said, Stunner, man, I said, you got to make me a song. And lo and behold, about 2 weeks later, I get an email with a song called Win for You. And the song was lit. I was like, oh my God. So I started using it part of my marketing. And all of a sudden, it just continued to grow. And now Stunner and I, we're on our 6th song. So it started out as kind of like a joke but I am now an actual artist. So I have several songs. The first one that I told you about was called Win for You. After that one, we made a song called Fly Lawyer Sauce that talks about my drip. That's the one that I perform mostly.
And I think I've seen that one. I seen that one on World Star, and I've been on your page, and I seen you performing at a crowd. The crowd was so hyped with that one.
That's called Fly Lawyer Sauce. And then after that, we made a song called Keep You Out That Sale. Now that one went viral last week. It has about 5 million views now, where I got 2 of my clients out of jail. And as I came out of the parking lot, their family was waiting. So I put the top back on my Rolls Royce and put on my song, Keep You Out That Sale, and started dancing. Little did I know that some site would pick it up, and it's now right at 5 million views.
That's the one I saw.
Yes. And then so after Keep You Out That Sale, we then did a song based upon the cars that I drive, which is Rolls Royce and Maybach. So we have that song. And the one that just came out, I felt like I had to do one for the ladies. And that song is called Come to the Fly Side. And we just did a music video for that one that's going to be released on October 25th. On next Friday, we're going to have a release party. So every one of those songs on all the platforms. But I had to do one for the ladies called Come to the Fly Side, where it talks about, let me just give you a sample. It goes something like this. Hey, baby, I can tell your man ain't been treating you right. Just chill. Let me make it right. Come with the fly lawyer and let me upgrade you to the fly side. Let me take you shopping and put them red bottoms on your feet, baby. Let's take a ride. Come sit on these Maybach seats, baby. So that's Come to the Fly.
That's nice. I'm a really goofy person, so you have to ignore my looks. But I heard that one. That one was really, really nice. I think you were doing it at the clerk's office when I first seen it.
I had won a case at the courthouse, and when I went to the clerk's office to get a copy of the disposition, the clerk said, "You got to perform your new song for me," and that is correct.
Yeah. Okay, so like, what do you like more? Like, do you like? Because I just feel like your career feels like the lawyer and the judge. I feel like those are such serious things. So, like, what do you prefer more? Do you prefer like the serious environment of the courtroom, or do you like the fun, happy-go-lucky vibe of the music artist?
Well, let me tell you, it depends on what I'm doing. For an example, when I'm out in the city on the weekends, I'm still the same person that I am when I'm in court. The difference is it's serious business in court, and I'm trying to get a client out of prison. But I'm the same person, but you have to be able to know how to switch. You got to
versatility.
That's correct. And then when I'm performing on the weekends, I'm still the same person. It's just a different part of me. So I do what I'm required to do in a given situation. But my personality is always carefree, always upbeat. My friends ask me all the time, do I ever get upset? Because I really don't. But when I'm in court, I'm fighting for you so hard, and I'm jumping all over the prosecutor because that is an ethical duty of mine. But the moment I walk out of the courtroom, you'll get another different person when it's time to party and perform.
Absolutely. I like the answer, and you gave me a good question. So, being that you can switch from all of these things, do you feel like your versatility and your ability to adapt to different circumstances and be able to able to change your personality to fit certain rooms, do you feel like that was important on your journey to excellence?
Oh, that is so important, because you have to be able to adapt to your environment. So yes, If I'm in the room with state senators or governors, then you're getting that demeanor. If I'm in the room with rappers at a club, you're getting that demeanor. So yes, you have to be able to be flexible. At the same time, you have to maintain your professionalism and make sure you do nothing that would ever hurt your image. Because once your image is damaged, it may never recover.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Like,
for an example, when I'm taking pictures with rappers, as you know, some of them may be gang members. And so, but they respect me to the point they never put gang signs on the pictures that they take with me. I don't even have to say anything. They just don't do it.
that's what you call respect. Yeah, so that's another question. How does it feel to have that level of respect for yourself? Like when you're, like you said, when you're out and you see the level of respect people have from you, like when you get random inboxes from people like me and they're telling you it's an honor to do this and they admire who you are and they're intrigued by your life and stuff. How does that feel to you? Like,
Let me tell you, it's a twofold answer to that. One is that it's not about how I feel when you reach out to me. It's about how I make you feel. That's what everybody I meet. It's about how I make you feel because I'm going to feel good just meeting you anyway. But my thing is how you feel when you leave me. And secondly, my philosophy is that everybody is somebody and nobody is a nobody.
I
And so
absolutely agree.
I give people that type of respect and I get it in return, but you must also be authentic when you deal with people. And people can read whether you're being phony or whether it's your real personality. And fortunately, it is my real personality.
You're funny. You talk about, fortunately, it's my real personality. But no, seriously. Authenticity is really important. And I think, like you said, that's what helps take you far. And like that's what helps me in my world too. Like if you're just being you, then it's really easy. Like,
You don't have to work at it. It's you.
yeah. So that's a big thing too. And I feel like that's where a lot of people get off wrong from with the whole stereotype thing, because some people live to fit their stereotypes and some people do not search their internal self to bring their true higher self up to consciousness or out to the real world. So yeah, that's really, 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 really important. So I think I went through a lot of topics with you, Mr. JP. I'm trying to think that I missed anything. Is there anything you want to add?
Well, I have to say that I have really, really enjoyed speaking with you. And anytime you ever want to meet up again, podcast, if you're ever in Atlanta, hit me up. We'll get some drinks. I'll invite you to some of my shows because I believe that every connection you make should have an everlasting impact.
I absolutely feel the same way as well. And my mom actually lives in Conyers, so I come there sometimes. So I would definitely put you in the networking book because I can learn some things from you, Mr. Patterson. And I just want to say, on behalf of younger Black people, thank you for being a light of success for us, because we don't have a whole lot of them. And we live in times where we have beat racism, but they still try to convince us younger folk that we can't be as great as them. So seeing people like you is really, really amazing. I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. And my Instagram is The Fly Lawyer, and my office website is theflylawyer.com.
Absolutely. So that's where you guys can find him at. And congratulations on outliving the stereotype, Mr. Patterson.
Thank you.
And he told y'all where y'all can find him. Y'all know where y'all can find me. Hope you guys enjoyed the interview. Thank you for being here with me, Mr. Patterson.
My pleasure. And have a wonderful day.
Boss Gang, I'm out.